Hey, I'm Brian. Welcome to episode 3 of Make Comics Savvy. I've created a title for this blog and decided I was going to go ahead and christen, if you will, this particular one with it. That'll be a hashtag, so if you have any questions or whatever, go ahead and use that and mention me. And I've got Instagram and Twitter and all that happy stuff, and feel free to go ahead and contact me there. Email me directly at brianlatimer117@gmail. Today I'm going to talk about a few different things. First off, I woke up to a whole bunch of emails saying I got a bunch of new subscribers already, which is really awesome. I really appreciate it, and I'm humbled by people wanting to even listen to what I have to say. So thank you for that. Particular thanks goes out to Kenneth Brown, who posted up a really nice video message yesterday promoting my new channel. I really appreciate it. That was awesome. So anybody that wants to start watching this or share it, that's all appreciated. Big thanks to all of you. Thank you. So, talking about inking yesterday, this was the two pages that I had worked on. Thought you might all be interested to see where I went with it. This is the page that I'm going to be working on today. It's page 4. Again, those are the pages from my book, The Remedy, which will be coming out whenever I actually get it done. Wish I could be a little more solid on that, but one thing I wanted to talk about wasn't so much the book itself, but these particular characters right in here. What I did when I penciled those back in, what was it, June, late June I think it was, is I went out on my Facebook account and just hollered who wanted to show up in who wanted to make special appearance in a comic book. And much to my surprise, I got a pretty good response of a group of people that said, yeah, do it, put me in there. So that was interesting and fun in a couple of different ways. One, I don't feel like I'm super great at likenesses, like drawing regular people. It's, I don't know, especially in black and white cartoon kind of style, comic book kind of style like this, it really makes it difficult to, you got to really distill it down to basic features. And the it ties into a whole other series of theories that I've developed over the years. One of which is let me get this up here. One of which is dealing with Scott McCloud's theory of cartooning caricature. I think that the strength of comic books is very much that it's not real. There's been a lot of talk amongst the industry insiders and fans about drawing realistic women in particular. I like to try and do that, but I don't think that it's something that everybody should try and adhere to. I think one of the biggest strengths of comics is the ability to caricature the characters and use those non-realistic attributes to benefit. There's a little more universality, if that's even a word, to a character that doesn't look like anybody in, super specific. So you can inject yourself into that character a little bit more and feel, sort of a vicarious circumstance of living that character's life. I think that's a huge thing that comics has over movies. Prose has that to a lesser extent, because prose requires so much more of the imagination. Comics is sort of that middle ground between movies and prose, where there are there's strong visuals that you can create as the artist that the reader will latch on to, but there's still some things that the reader has to fit in themselves in the imagination, all the action between panels, those sorts of things, details of the background. When I'm thinking of those sorts of things, I immediately think of Bill Watterson's Calvin and Hobbes and the way he would so expertly create the sense of an entire environment with just putting like a couple leaves around Calvin's feet while he's walking. You know, you totally understood that it was fall. You totally understood that he was outside. You totally understood that it was, you know, a Christmas to the air. And, you know, that level of efficiency is something that you simply can't do in film. You've got to have a whole film background to build that sort of thing. So I think that's absolutely one of the biggest strengths of comics as a medium, and one of the things I really enjoy about it. So I try and work with that. I can understand why people would want to say that you need to draw realistic people. I think that's kind of short-sighted, though. That's like saying you only need to write in first person, or you only need to, I don't know, color with an airbrush, and, you know, cut grad isn't an appropriate style or whatever. It's just silly. It's too limiting for no good reason. That is absolutely one of the biggest mantras that I have, that execution trumps the idea every time. I was listening to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk's videos lately, and he absolutely nailed that one on it. You know, it's something I've thought for a long time, but it's, let me get back to the artwork here just in case you want to see that. A great idea is great in its own right, but if you can't execute on it, it's not going to be worth anything. Nobody's going to give a shit. So I think that's absolutely necessary to be able to follow through and deliver on a good idea. If you even, like, a good example is Watchmen. That's absolutely a great example, because those are basically the Charlton characters that they had to kind of re-envision and move around. Here's the page again for the pencils I'm going to work on. You know, they were kind of mediocre characters to begin with, and Alan Moore had the wherewithal to go ahead and develop them a little further, make them feel a little bit more like human beings, and just keep their original attributes to an effect, but, you know, give them something more for the readers to latch onto. And that is really the strength of comics as a whole. You know, what to leave in, what to leave out is where the strength is. And that's probably the biggest thing about a good storytelling, is understanding how to manipulate that in the comics medium. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today for episode 3. Again, thank you everybody that subscribed. Look me up on Facebook. That's really the main social media that I work with. I'm going to try and get more active on, like, Twitter. I've got a Tumblr account. Go ahead and look me up. They're all under my name. Again, I really appreciate the subscriptions. That was super, super awesome to see that. And if you have any comments or things that I can do to make this more interesting for you, go ahead and leave them in the comments here. Email me. Again, that's brianlatimer117@gmail.com. You know, really appreciate the feedback. All right, thanks. Thanks for watching.